As defined in the dictionary, the home is the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or household. A very common saying in regards to a home is where the heart is. This doesn't just mean somewhere where somebody lives. It means anywhere that brings you a special feeling of safetyness or happiness. Just anything that gives you a warm feeling of a home. I believe that a home is more than just four walls and a roof over your head. Home is an environment. It is a feeling that greets you when you walk in the door. Home is the people who love and care endlessly about you. When people grow up and find themselves, a home is the mold that forms who they truly are as a person. Just like Tate said, your home will never leave you. Your home is something that has intrinsic value and stays with you forever. Several of the novels I've read throughout this course had to deal with characters making a tough decision to leave their homes to find new ones. Personally, my favorite novel where there is an instance of the main character having to leave their home was The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. In this novel, the main character, Amir, leaves his home of Kabul, Afghanistan with his father Baba and seeks to find a new home in America. As the story progresses, Baba passes away and Amir grows bored and lonely. Amir had no other family left and felt that he needed to return home to Afghanistan. But the reason that Amir and Baba had left Afghanistan in the first place was because of the horrible warfare that had broken out. The Taliban had rose to power and were killing innocent people at an alarming rate. It became so dangerous that Baba and Amir had started to feel unsafe in their home where they had lived their entire lives. This return to Afghanistan is extremely significant to the story because at the beginning of the story, Amir betrayed his only true friend Hassan, who he later figured out was his half-brother. In hopes to find Hassan, Amir learns that he was murdered by the Taliban. Extremely shocked by this, Amir also learns that he had a son that was still alive. Amir felt that it was his duty to find and take care of the only blood he had left alive, and repay Hassan for the horrible things he had done to him as a child. Amir's strong connection to his home is the reason that he embarks on this journey to find Hassan's son, Sohrab. He feels that it was his duty to do the right thing for once, and not for himself, but for those before him. Even though his former home was basically a war zone, he still felt a strong connection. He felt that he had responsibilities to take care of Hassan's son and not leave him to grow up in the hands of the Taliban. At the end of the story, he returns home to America and finds significance in his new home because he brought back Sohrab, a piece of his family. This made his house in America turn into a home. Amir's idea of home had much to do with family. When Baba had passed away, it left a void within Amir. He married and found people of the same religion, people from the same area, but he still felt empty. However, when he came back to America with Sohrab, this void was no longer empty. Sohrab had let Amir finally find peace within himself and erase all of the guilt of his past life. He had made his new home away from all of the hate and violence in Afghanistan. He finally had somebody he could call family. As a person, Amir had grown tremendously over the course of the story. And the boy who started out as a condescending, selfish child grew up into a humble man who put family before everything. I think when Amir realized at one point in the story that he was far away from home and had nothing that could tie him back, he knew he had to do something, even if it meant putting himself right in the path of danger. But in the end, Amir does what he set out to do and brought back his home to him. He risked his own life to save that of the last piece of family he had left, which finally let Amir once again have the home he had longed for. Over this course, I've learned about the various literary theories / lenses, and I found a few that intrigued me. I thought Marxism was rather interesting, but but I was a little confused as to why people actually followed the guidelines of Marxism, and it really didn't make any sense to me. The literary theory that I found most interesting was the psychoanalysis theory based off of the ideology of Sigmund Freud. I had some prior knowledge of this, but this course allowed me to dig deeper and learn even more about the psychoanalysis theory. Over the course of the semester, I've also learned much about the influence that culture has on literature. One of the most important things that hit me during the course of the semester is the horrible things that come along with racial inequality. Throughout several of the texts, such as The Kite Runner and The Joy Luck Club, there was examples of racial inequality towards the main characters in the stories. We also did several activities during the year that focused on racial inequality in America during the Civil Rights Movement and the Jim Crow laws. Throughout the course of history, people have been treating minorities extremely unfairly and have depleted several good people of good opportunities. Like I just said, the Civil Rights Movement and the Jim Crow era was a horrible time in America, especially for African American people, and it's something that absolutely disgusts me. I recently watched the movie 42 about Jackie Robinson, and this highlighted some of the racial prejudices during this time, and it really hit me how unfair it was for African Americans to try to live normal lives when people would just come out and say racial slurs and just make everything so much harder for them, treat them like they're not even humans. I mean, people in power during this time really didn't do anything about it, and that really disgusts me too, because people in office in America were just as racist as the people in the farms, and it just really sickens me, because the unfair treatment of people based on their race is something that they can't control, and nobody should be subject to any hate or anything negative based off something they can't control. My values as a person are somewhat traditional, but I feel really strongly about the treatment of people and that people should be treated fairly, regardless of race, class, etc., anything. I mean, people should just be treated as people, no matter what. And I wouldn't say it's far-fetched that most people agree with me on this, but I know that there are people out there that disagree with me, and I know racism still exists in America. I think racism is a horrible thing. Okay, nothing good comes out of it. It just puts people in uncomfortable situations and makes people feel bad about themselves for something they have no control over, something they didn't even do. It's just a horrible thing, and this course has really opened my eyes to the wide variety of people dealing with racism. It's not just black people, it's not just Asian people, it's everybody. It's when you're a minority and you go somewhere that's not where your race isn't the dominant race, most people are probably going to look at you funny. People are probably going to look at you like you're less of a person than them, even though you're not. You're still the same amount of human being, you're just different. And people can't accept that. It's evident with gender problems too. I mean, it's people treat women like less of people. People treat gay people like less of people. People are just judgmental. People treat people unfairly for no reason, and nothing good comes out of it. With the knowledge I've acquired during this course, I will now be able to read text from several perspectives at once. I will now be able to analyze things a lot at a deeper level than I before this class. I've learned how to read between the lines in some instances and infer things that aren't directly said in texts. I also think that my knowledge in this class will benefit me as a person because it has made me aware of some of the horrible situations that people have had to deal with over the course of history and the horrible racial prejudices that people still have to deal with today.